But if you didn't make it for that reason, that would be sad.
No, that's.
Have you had any of your own personal therapy aside from?
Yeah, I do. Like, we do have kind of sort of offshoots where I basically do that.
Great.
And we do talk about.
Great.
A lot of it is kind of around that inner child thing and about
brilliant.
parenting my inner child, because it is about the experiences I had growing up as a child and kind of not feeling good enough or kind of loved or have that room to sort of grow, if you like, with that that unconditional love.
I totally understand.
Because I didn't know what that was because I didn't have it.
No, I
because
didn't have
it was
it.
like, well, you're not getting good grades at school, so therefore I don't love you. And you're struggling academically, so therefore you're not good enough. And it's just this kind of constant cycle.
Yeah.
And what frustrates me is when things go wrong at work.
Yeah.
And by that I mean I don't get a role, I don't get considered or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, it's because I wasn't very good in school.
Exactly.
That takes me straight back to that.
Yeah.
Like,
so that old script is just sitting there waiting to be reenacted over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And I'm completely the same.
Yeah.
So I totally get it. When you have couples therapy with your wife, and then how often do you have the offshoots as you described them? So you have individual as well every week.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, and how long have you had that for?
The last 3 months, I think it is.
Oh, that's great. Okay, that's really important.
Because it feels like like I'm in a much better place.
Yeah,
we are in a much better place. There's still a very awkward car journey yesterday.
No.
But
it
does help.
And when you talk to your therapist in your offshoot, for what we call it, do you talk about work as well? Do you talk about how it affects your work?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, the primary purpose is to kind of help more
with the marriage
relationship stuff. But we do, and I kind of reference the conversations that we have. And I talk about what are some of the examples I give? I talk about like how I'm successful at work, but also how I struggle with certain things. But I do talk about how I don't bring work home and let that affect kind of
that's
things
great.
negatively. And also vice versa.
Yeah.
I do talk about work because we talk about, well, you are successful now, so why are you holding on to this kind of like academic excellence thing?
So what I've found is that so obviously you're very successful and I'm successful, but as we try and push ourselves up to the next level, what I have found is that the script starts to come out even more, because it kind of says, look, you've done as well as, you've kind of done as well as you were ever going to do. And actually thinking that you can go any further is very arrogant.
Yeah.
And, you didn't do that at school or this at school or whatever, and you didn't get this grade or that grade or whatever.
Yeah.
So you're going to find that on this journey that the script's going to come out a lot, probably. And so we might, I think we might need to keep kind of talking about that and thinking about ways. Do you use any affirmations at all? Do you know what I mean by an affirmation?
No. I know what affirmation means, but I don't know what. Yeah.
So, Louise Hay was the kind of woman that kind of was most famous for kind of introducing affirmations into the psychology world. And an affirmation is simply a statement about yourself that you can effectively, by using it repetitively, you can kind of internalize it. So if I show you, if I can I show you?
One of your tattoos.
Yeah. Have I shown it to you already?
I think I saw it last time.
No, it's good enough. I am good enough.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yes, I have. I do remember that.
So they're but I mean, if you Google it, there are a whole bunch, and I can also send you a whole bunch of affirmations. But affirmations can be quite helpful, I think. Especially, I have found them to be helpful in the moment. So, let's say you're in a meeting and perhaps it's not quite going the way you want it to go, or you're sort of getting like dirty looks from someone, or someone puts you down a bit when you make a comment. You can actually use an affirmation kind of internally to pull yourself back, to let's say, I talk about old scripts and new scripts, yeah.
One thing I do feel in meetings now, I think the supervisory board has helped a lot. I feel incredibly confident and incredibly like that sense of belonging. Yeah. Like when I open my mouth in a supervisory board context, I know I'm going to make a point that people will listen to. What was this other point I made the other day? We were in our risk committee meeting, and somebody was talking about we were talking about modern slavery and our policy on that, and how we about our entire supply chain. And I said to people, like, are we ever going to look back and I'm not saying like go through our archives and say, oh my God, we employed slaves or anything like that, or we were like accounted a firm that was involved in the slave trade. I mean, a bit like the royal family goes through its cupboards and like goes through the ivory stocks that it holds and thinks, oh bloody hell, we better bury these or something. I said, look, we've got all this real estate everywhere, and I said, Hikvision is the number one provider of CCTVs in the world. Like, who's going round, and also they're complicit in the suppression of Uyghur Muslims in China because they create the facial recognition.
Oh, blah, blah, blah. Wow. Okay.
And like, who goes through and make sure that like the things that we have in our buildings now are not exposing us to that kind of risk and stuff like that. And Alison Statham, who's our general counsel, she was like, everyone was like, I'm not sure, but no, that's a good point. Like, we better go do this. And Alison was like, come on, how do you know all this stuff? And I was like, I don't know, it's what I read when I can't sleep and stuff. Yeah. And she was like, no, that's a really good point. Like, we do need to look at that kind of stuff. And I was just like, because everyone was looking at me thinking, where's he going with this? But everyone was like, that's a good point. Yeah. We need to do something about it.
But if I was to take you back to September last year when you were nominated, was it August, September last year?
Yeah.
And you repeatedly told me that you did not believe that you had anything of value to add to the supervisory board, and you weren't interested, and that there was nothing to be. It wasn't. There was no place for you there. There was no. It wasn't. It wasn't something that should happen to somebody like you. So what I'm saying to you is that each step along the way on your tantric journey, you are going to have reactivation of your old script.
Yes. Yeah.
So you're going to need. You're going to need techniques.
So you're saying basically get a tattoo.
Get a tattoo. Well, no. I'm saying have 2 or 3 affirmations. Yeah, that really, really, really help you. And we can think about
I do, and actually, Amy, when I think about it, it's with my wife as well. I need that constant reaffirmation from her that, like, I'm important to her. And I think that kind of runs through my life, to be honest. I think partly because of my... in my relationship, I think it's partly because of my ex, first marriage.
Your first marriage.
And how that ended quite abruptly.
Yeah.
Seemingly kind of, ticking along, and then something was like this one event, and then I kind of almost think, well, nothing's safe and secure. Nothing's kind of bolted down. Like if I think things are going well, it's like, oh, actually not.
Exactly.